Hey everyone, how's it going? So, a long time ago, right when I started these solo run challenges, I did a run of just Pikachu in Pokemon Red and Blue, and it did pretty well for first form Pokemon. Currently, it ranks just outside of the top 10, which isn't bad at all, considering its not so great matchup versus Brock. In today's video, we're going to be doing the evolved form Raichu. Raichu's stats, honestly, pretty good. 90 attack, 90 special, 100 speed, that means more critical hits. That's very good. But right off the bat, we're gonna have a massive problem, because these are Raichu's level up moves. No, our new editor Sean, say hi to Sean everybody, did not make a mistake here. These are all the moves that Raichu can learn via level up. Two of them don't really do anything, at least nothing super useful in the context of a solo run, and the other one doesn't affect ground Pokemon, which both of Brock's Pokemon happen to be. So what in the world are we gonna do? You probably know, but before we get to that, I want to talk about a game I genuinely enjoy playing, let me stress that, and I do mean it, Raid Shadow Legends. I know some of you are surprised by that, but Raid is genuinely a very fun game. I've always wanted a fun RPG I can actually play on mobile, but most of them are either really simple or really hard to control. But Raid has the perfect balance of really good combat depth and team building, while still being really easy to control on a mobile phone, making it easy to play anywhere. But I know, it's Raid, it's the meme game, everyone gets sponsored by it, it's bad, it's play to win. Well, let's address some misconceptions about Raid. While, of course, you can purchase upgrades, champions, etc., you don't have to. I personally haven't purchased anything in Raid, and I'm having a great time. Oh, but it's just a time grinder, J-Rose. Not at all. There's an auto battle feature that can level you up while you're away, and there's even a guardian ring which can level up your characters while you go and do something else. And finally, for those of you who don't think Raid has a ton of depth, it definitely does, with all the various champions, abilities, skills, level ups, equipment. Trying to figure out the optimal combinations for the various game modes is actually something I enjoy doing and why I've played Raid so much. But wait, this month it gets even better with the Summer Tavern event. If you participate, you can win real-life prizes including a gaming console, smartphones, Amazon gift cards up to $5,000, and a lot of in-game loot as well. If you don't have Raid already, you can download using my link, or if you do, go to summertavern.plarium.com and enter your Raid ID and start searching for hidden items to prepare a refreshing potion for a champion. You can also win 2 free months of YouTube Premium if you download Raid before July 17th, play for at least 5 days, and hit level 20, which is definitely attainable. I've been playing for a few weeks and I'm already almost at level 30. If you want to start playing Raid yourself, check out my link in the description or pinned comment, or scan the QR code to get some exclusive bonuses you won't be able to get anywhere else. You'll get the epic champion Tyrell, what many consider to be one of the best epics in the entire game. And after you hit level 25, you'll get another free epic, Rector Draft, who's super good in support. When you do download Raid, make sure to check out my clan, the Solo Runners, and help me take down some of the bosses. I do need some help. I really hope you guys do give Raid a chance. I do think it's worth it, and I'll see you all on the battlefield. Alright, I've delayed long enough. It's time to get to the Brock battles, and these were brutal. I didn't even attempt Brock until level 13. And in Fire Red Leaf Green, this wouldn't be so bad, but in Red and Blue, after using up the last of our growls to lower Geodude's attack, we're going to be using Struggle. Now, a lot of you probably already know this, but in case you're new, in Generation 1, Struggle is classified as a 50 base power normal type attack, meaning it's not very effective, and it's doing about 1 HP of damage. But it gets even worse, because Struggle is a recoil move. So every time I use Struggle, I lose 1 HP as well. And thus, we're able to get past the Geodude, yay, but we're not going to get past the Onix, boo. And we're not even close to getting past the Onix. Now, in order to save in-game time, you'll notice that when I reset, I don't reset in front of Brock, but rather back in Viridian Forest. That's because it takes around 7 in-game minutes to use up all my power points. And Raichu, unfortunately, has a lot of them. 90 to be exact. 30 for Thundershock, 40 for Growl, 20 for Thunder Wave. It takes a really, really long time. And so, unless I'm certain I can beat Brock, I don't want to use up all my power points, waste 7 in-game minutes, only to have to go back into the forest to train a bit more. And train a bit more we're gonna have to do. I battled Brock again at level 14. This actually was a little unintentional. I wanted to be at level 15, and now's a good time to talk about something I didn't even know about when I started these runs, and doesn't really matter yet, but will matter later on in this run, and that is the weird way Pokemon does rounding in Red and Blue. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've looked for an article to help me understand what exactly is going on here, but from what I've been told, levels ending in 0, 3, 5, and 8 are better than the other levels, and you tend to get favorable rounding. I don't know if it's you always round up versus round down. I'm going to be honest with you, I can't find anything super conclusive here that makes sense to me, and I'm not a math major, so that's probably a big reason I don't understand what I do find. But yeah, I was told we should come back at level 15. However, since in the course of leveling up I ran out of Thundershock, I just decided to try it, and it went about as well as you'd think. Thus, I decided it would be silly to try at 15, and I tried again at 18. One change I made is to use 1 Growl instead of 3. At this point, the Geodude is doing 3 damage instead of 4, which is pretty good. The issue I was finding with 3 Growls is while it only did 2 damage, which is nice, I wasn't doing enough to Geodude without crits. Now, by the time we got to Onix, we have 28 HP, which is way more than before, but also not really enough to knock Onix out unless we got absurdly lucky because of Bide. Bide takes the damage I deal and deals it back, and it can last between 2 and 3 turns. That is random. It is also random when Onix uses Bide, and since it only has 2 other moves, it is a 1 in 3 chance of it selecting Bide at any point. And I did do this battle a few times. You can see I even saved in front of Brock, but it wasn't working at level 18. The next threshold is level 20, so that's where we went to. And if you think, man, 2 hours, 20 minutes, that's a lot, you may be over leveled. So you can see right off the bat why we don't want to use Growl or anything, just attack. 40 HP remaining, that's way, way more. But now, watch this battle with Onix and just how luck dependent it is. I was at 27 HP before it used Bide, and since it lasts 3 turns, I got knocked out. To win, level 20 isn't enough. We're gonna need Onix to use Tackle, then Screech, not reversed because Screech lowers our defense, and only go for Bide right at the end. This did happen. It took a really long time. We had several close calls, which is why I didn't give up and level up even more. 44 HP is also the second highest I ever made it to Onix with, but the key difference in this battle, and all the ones you hadn't seen, is it just used a lot of Screech, and by the time it went for Bide, it was too late. I don't even think that last crit mattered. I was getting really frustrated here. I've already spent almost an hour on this run, and that's about as long as I spend on most fully evolved Pokemon for the entire run. Not just to get the first gym badge, and it's not as if we're gonna get a cool level up move in a few levels. A lot of Pokemon you're not meant to catch this early, that happens, but for Pokemon that evolve via Evolutionary Stone, they simply don't learn any more moves. So until we get useful TMs, and there are some useful TMs to get, Raichu is going to be stuck with Thundershock. Thankfully, when it comes to beating Misty, Thundershock is all it's going to need. Misty, as always, leads with her Staryu, and a single Thundershock knocks it out. Starmie required 2, albeit maybe it would have taken 3 with a critical hit, and we're already at level 23, which is pretty great. We're going to battle Rival 2 next. This is one of the rare times that we're over-leveled for this battle. Now, you'll notice that I have another move. I'm not using it yet, Mega Punch. Mega Punch is inaccurate, so I just opt to use 2 Thundershocks versus Abra, but once we get to the Bulbasaur, it makes sense to use it, and considering Raichu has pretty good physical attack, that's a one-shot. Unfortunately for you Mega Punch enthusiasts, this is the only time you're going to see Mega Punch used, because by the time we get to the next major battle, Raichu will have learned Body Slam. Of course, we're going to use Thunder Shock versus Pidgeotto. Eradicate, I go for Body Slam, let's show it off. Use it against Kadabra, and Ivysaur, another Body Slam. Easy, easy. Speaking of easy, Lieutenant Surge will be quite easy because his best move, we resist, and we have Body Slam. Surge's first Pokemon, Voltorb, no chance. We're already level 28. Pikachu, another Body Slam. We level up to 29, and Raichu, that crit may have mattered, but the more important thing is that by beating Lieutenant Surge, we get our best move, arguably, which is TM24 Thunderbolt, a very overpowered move to get in Gym 3. Almost 100 base power. I mean, it does give you a 100 base power move before Gym 3, so Gen 1 is Gen Fun. But yeah, we're going to be using Thunderbolt almost all the time, except versus those ground rock Pokemon. For that, we have... I'm not sure why I'm making transition noises, but we have Seismic Toss. I don't usually get Seismic Toss because it requires an extra battle to get, and I almost thought it wasn't worth it because both Geodude use Self-Destruct, but Graveler went for Rock Throw, which has a pretty high chance of missing, and Seismic Toss at my current level was a 2-shot. So I'm pretty happy we picked it up, and that will help us deal with the remaining rock Pokemon, of which there aren't too many, but there is one coming up in the next major battle versus Giovanni number 1. This battle starts with an Onix, so we're just going to go for Seismic Toss. It's a 2-shot, which is not bad. We have 80 HP remaining for Rhyhorn. It's going to be a 3-shot, which isn't great, but Kangaskhan is very low special in this game, so a critical hit, I don't even think we needed the critical hit. Thunderbolt will knock it out. Now, Erica isn't going to be so difficult, but because our electric moves are resisted by grass Pokemon, I thought battling Rival 4 next would make more sense. Rival 4's Pidgeotto is going to have no shot versus Thunderbolt, nor will Gyarados. Growlithe, no. Kadabra, no. Ivysaur will have to switch to Body Slam, but the critical hit ensured a 1-hit KO, and so 5 attacks, 5 knockouts. Not much to say about Pokemon Tower, so let's go and skip ahead to Erica. If it feels like we're just breezing through this part of the game, it's because we are. We spent way less time. Oh, critical hit on Victory Bell. Sorry, got a fight to win first. Critical hit on Tangela. And a non-critical hit on Vileplume. Because of Mega Drain, it's going to be a 3-shot, but yeah. Erica was pretty easy. We've spent substantially less time on the last 3 gyms and the other major battles than just getting past Brock. And this is an unfortunate thing about doing these in Generation 1 versus something like Fire Red and Leaf Green. So many Pokemon just have no way of getting past Brock. And it's unfortunate because otherwise they might be very good, but the Brockstickle, see what I did there? That doesn't even work because it's not Brobstickle. Anyway, you get what I mean. It's a huge hurdle to overcome. But Raichu seems to have overcome it and is absolutely obliterating the mid-game. Koga is the next gym leader I have to battle. I'm level 39, and we don't one-shot Coughing, which is a little upsetting. Muck was a 2-shot, and it used Poison Gas, but if we knock everything out in one hit, we don't need to worry. We do knock out the second Coughing, so the first one was a range. Now we just don't want Self-Destruct. Weezing goes for Smog after we use Thunderbolt, and it is a 2-hit KO, but the critical hit may have mattered. If the critical hit did matter, it was still a 75% chance for me to win. Even a critical hit Sludge would not have knocked me out, even with poison damage. So Koga was pretty easy, but Rival Fivel might be a little more difficult now that we have Alakazam and Venusaur to face. Will Body Slam and Seismic Toss be enough? Let's find out. His first 3 Pokemon won't be a problem. Pidgeot is one-shot by Thunderbolt, Gyarados is one-shot by Thunderbolt, and Growlithe is one-shot by Thunderbolt. Alakazam, I go for Body Slam. It doesn't one-shot, but Confusion doesn't confuse, it doesn't do too much, so we knock it out. We're at level 41, we go for Body Slam, we get a pretty good critical hit. Venusaur then gets a critical hit against me, and I wanted to see whether Seismic Toss would knock it out. It didn't, so that was dumb. But we didn't lose. So yay! First try victory versus rival Fievel. But the next few major battles could be a little challenging. First we have Giovanni 2, who has ground Pokemon all over. He leads with a non-ground Pokemon, Nidorino, and it doesn't one-shot, which is a little disappointing. Kangaskhan is next, and you can see no crit, we still one-shot. Seismic Toss is still a 3 KO on Rhyhorn, which honestly is pretty fine. Now, when it comes to Nidoqueen, even with Body Slam, which we can use since it's not a rock type, it's going to be a 3-shot, and if Nidoqueen used Body Slam every time, we probably would have been knocked out. And as far as I'm aware, in Generation 1, I do believe Body Slam can paralyze an electric Pokemon, because the way they programmed it is that a move cannot status a Pokemon of that move's type. So Thunderbolt can't status another electric Pokemon, but since Body Slam is a normal move, it can paralyze. So that also could have been a problem. As far as I'm aware, the interactions with Body Slam were actually something that was even inaccurate on Pokemon Showdown. Once again, Generation 1 is definitely Generation Fun. Speaking of fun, Sabrina shouldn't be too bad because our special is really high and her speed's pretty good. She leads with the greatest Pokemon of all time, but unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately for us, its physical defense is terrible, so one shot. Mr. Mime has better defense, but 2-shot after Light Screen. Venomoth poisons me, but 2-shot with Thunderbolt. And Alakazam, Reflect is great, but we actually don't get attacked, and if it weren't for the poison, we would have beaten Sabrina without ever taking damage. So that was a little bit easier than I was expecting, but Blaine might be a little bit harder. Blaine leads with Growlithe. We're gonna go for Thunderbolt, and finally, we're not really over-leveled anymore. We one-shot Growlithe, but not Ponyta. I just go for Body Slam. Level 44, so we still out-level Rapidash, but Fire Spin will do a couple hits, but then comes out Arcanine. After Thunderbolt, Super Potion, another Thunderbolt, Fire Blast. That did a ton of damage, and unfortunately, it survived on a sliver of health and then used Takedown and critted. So for the first time since Brock, we lose a battle. Now we just have to try again. You can see Thunderbolt on Growlithe was a range, and then Fire Spin from Ponyta will deal a bit more damage. So we're going to be at 106, assuming Rapidash, or 110, sorry, assuming Rapidash doesn't do that. So only 71 HP for Arcanine. And if you caught it, we were hit by a Leer, so we've actually lost twice. 2 losses after not losing for 6 gyms. Well, in our third battle, we get a crit on Growlithe, which is pretty good. Against Ponyta, Growl misses, which is actually really good. So we knock it out. Rapidash, it goes for Stomp. We're at 111. Honestly, less bad luck with move selection by Arcanine would be nice. Critical hit Ember is annoying, but a non-critical hit Ember is way less annoying, and that's probably what should have happened the first try, but who cares? It shows that Raichu isn't invincible, but it's still very good. However, now Raichu is going to have its toughest challenge yet, the Ground Gym. We're not going to be able to use Thunderbolt at all, and while Body Slam is helpful, without a reliable way to raise our stats or Badge Boost glitch, it's probably not going to be enough on its own to knock out Giovanni, so we may get stuck here. Giovanni leads with a rock Pokemon Rhyhorn, so we have to go for Seismic Toss, and it's going to be a 4-shot. Or so I thought. It's a 3-shot. I'll take that. Dugtrio, it's not a 1-shot with Body Slam, and that's a big problem. While I am able to tank Dig, I'm barely able to do so, and then Nidoqueen would have been a 4-hit KO. So it's at this point, I kind of think about it, and why not just use the rare candies? Now, before I did that, I did want to level up once more because we're so close and I don't want to waste those experience points. But once we've used all the rare candies plus leveled up one more time, I don't know, it's just really fun to do that. But we're at level 56. So Seismic Toss is still going to be a 3-hit KO. Against Dugtrio, however, Body Slam now will easily one-shot. Against Nidoqueen, Body Slam is now a 2-shot. Against Nidoking, it's a 2-shot, and Rhydon doesn't actually have great moves because of the way Generation 1 works. It tried to go for Fissure, and it is a 4-hit KO, but since we outspeed, Fissure actually can't hit me, and thus we're able to beat Giovanni really easily and move on to the endgame. Thus far, the rival has been pretty easy, so he's going to lead with Pidgeot. That's going to be a pretty easy matchup. We knock it out. And we level up. Next comes out Rhyhorn. It's going to be a 3-shot with Seismic Toss, but not a problem. Next, Gyarados. I accidentally clicked Seismic Toss and then get a Generation 1 miss, but we're good. I mean, we're 40 HP less, but we're good. Thunderbolt still one-shots Growlithe. Body Slam even one-shots Alakazam, but with a crit. And then Venusaur's Razor Leaf is always going to crit, but we had 15 HP to spare. So we're ready to make it to the Elite Four. But before we do that, a couple questions maybe you guys have. One might be why I'm still using Seismic Toss instead of Submission. And frankly, I just don't think Submission is worth it. 80 accuracy, recoil damage. I think Seismic Toss is overall better and safer to use, and there's so few instances I really would use it. If it were super effective against Venusaur somehow, I'd be a lot more interested, but rock Pokemon just aren't that much of a threat to me. Similarly, you guys might be wondering why I'm using Thunderbolt instead of Thunder, and the answer to that is that it's Submission with, in a way, even more risk. That extra 10% chance to miss simply isn't worth it, and considering this is a timed run, going to the power plant isn't quick. You can't just fly there quickly and get Thunder. It's all the way in the power plant, which is all the way past Cerulean. It's the only way to get there quickly. Simply, in my mind, does not save nearly enough time, even with really good luck, to make up for the time loss. So that's it for all the questions. Let's go ahead and battle Lorelie and start this Elite Four Gauntlet or Victory Lap. Let's find out. Lorelie has mostly water types. She leads with Dugong, Thunderbolt one-shots. I don't think the crit mattered. Doesn't get a crit against Cloyster. No crit needed versus Slowbro. Jinx, I go for Body Slam, and the crit may or may not have mattered. Jinx has really bad defense. Lapras, not a one-shot, but retroactive Super Potion. We beat Lorelie. For the record, the reason I call it retroactive is the potion should go first, not second, but Gen 1. So, against Bruno, Seismic Toss, 2 shots. Onix, Hitmonchan, even though nowadays has great special defense, in Gen 1 it doesn't, so we knock it out. And then the next Onix is going to be a 2-shot once again. Machamp, we knock out via Thunderbolt. And this brings us to the real obstacle of the run, Agatha. Agatha, we're not going to one-shot her Pokemon because we're using special attacks, so we're at the mercy of Hypnosis and Confuse Ray. Agatha leads with Gengar, we go for Thunderbolt, Confuse Ray, this is what I was worried about, we hit ourselves a Confusion. Thankfully, it goes for Confuse Ray again, and then we're able to use Thunderbolt. Another bit of good luck happens when Agatha, rather than attack, swaps, which again, shouldn't happen, but Gen 1. Golbat comes out, we snap out a Confusion, and since it's Flying type, we one-shot. Then we're gonna go for Seismic Toss on Gengar. What? Yeah, Gen 1. Moves that do set damage, ignore type immunity. Cool thing. Anyway, Haunter, we get a lucky critical hit and one-shot. Arbok is not a one-shot, but another retroactive Super Potion, so we're gonna knock it out. And then Gengar number 2 can't put us to sleep. We get a lucky, not only paralysis, but it doesn't move, and then Dream Eater. So, look to be very difficult, but due to some pretty good luck, honestly, it was a first try victory versus Agatha. Now, we haven't used Thunder Wave since we were using it against Metapod to get rid of it. Might as well replace it with Mimic. Not sure if I'm going to use it, but gives me the option in the next 2 battles. So, we start with Lance. Gyarados is not going to be a problem, but Dragonair Body Slam is only doing about half. Slam does 35, so it is a 2-shot versus Dragonair. That's not so bad. With a critical hit, since it doesn't do exactly 2 times, it's going to be a 2-shot still. Aerodactyl, it one-shots, but then Dragonite could be a threat. We go for Thunderbolt, it's going to be a 3-hit KO, ignore the not very effective message. That's Gen 1 being Gen 1. It does go for Hyper Beam, but we tank it. And then we get a critical hit, which actually we didn't need because it does have to recharge. If you knock a Pokemon out with Hyper Beam, you don't need to recharge, but if you don't, you do. I keep saying it's Gen 1, but seriously, this game is so weird. Finally, we make it to the final champion, Gareth. It's like Gary for old people, that's the joke. It's hilarious. Anyway, we're gonna one-shot Pidgeot with Thunderbolt. Next comes out Alakazam, but Body Slam doesn't one-shot. It does paralyze. Psychic, however, crits. We don't get the special drop, but with 44 HP, it's gonna be really tough to win. This is another reason, by the way, why submission wouldn't work. Seismic Toss is such a cool animation. We don't really see it all that much, and I'm gonna mimic Horn Drill as like a last-ditch effort to knock out Venusaur, but we need to make it that far. It's a 4-shot with Seismic Toss, and thankfully Rhydon doesn't attack us. Gyarados will be knocked out, so all we have left are our Arcanine and Venusaur. I go for Thunderbolt after thinking about Horn Drill, and I probably should have tried Horn Drill because Takedown is more than enough to knock me out. And so we make it all the way to the champion, but we're gonna lose. And so we have to try all over again. Well, let's just get to it. I mean, what could really go wrong? Agatha might be a problem, but these first gym leaders were easy as heck. Nothing is gonna go wrong here, epic foreshadowing, because watch what happens against Lapras. It confuses me, hit myself in confusion, Body Slam paralysis. Remember I talked about that? Hit myself in confusion. Yay! Laura Lee wins. That's ridiculous. Well, try number 3 now. Apparently, Laura Lee is also something I need to worry about, and we're going to speed through the battle. But once we get to Lapras, we get paralyzed, hit with Blizzard, but we win. So that's good. Bruno is still easy, so we're just going to speed through that battle. Nothing really to worry about. And then we get to Agatha. So Agatha tries to go for Hypnosis. Thankfully, it misses, and then we get the retroactive Super Potion. That's good. And really to hammer home why I call it retroactive is that, in theory, you're supposed to pick what you do at the same time as me. Imagine another human player. But the AI doesn't actually work like that. It can determine what it's going to do after the fact. It got hit, so it used the Super Potion, which how would it know it was going to get hit? Because it's not playing by the same rules. This is the only generation that works that way. Anyway, we get some bad luck versus the second Gengar, but thankfully we only hit ourselves in confusion once, and we make it to Lance, who we actually could have lost to. So this could be a little scary. Lance number 2, one-shot Gyarados, and here's where I try something very, very, very dumb. After I got hit by Hyper Beam, I go for Mimic and Agility, and then I get hit by Slam. Why was it dumb? Because I forgot I level up. So I don't get the badge boost glitch, which is what I was going for. And now if we get hit by anything, we lose, and Slam missed. Had Slam hit, we would have been fine if I didn't go for that useless agility. But since I did, which I was hoping to make Dragonite a 2-hit KO, that was the thought process. But yeah, bit of a brain fart. But we're going to fight the champion, and if we win, all will be good. So, take 2 versus champ. Pidgeot, Thunderbolt, 1 down. Alakazam, Body Slam, critical hit. Ooh, that's really good, guys. So, I'm not going to mimic Horn Drill because Rhydon's a little scary. Tail Whip misses. Leer doesn't. Remember, Takedown was pretty bad last time. And our defense is now lowered. Leer then misses. It's a 1 in 4 chance for those to miss, so really lucky there. Gyarados we're going to knock out, so we have full HP, -1 defense for our Arcanine. Thunderbolt, we get a crit, retroactive full restore. Thunderbolt, another crit, Leer, and that should be good because Venusaur doesn't have a physical move. And then the craziest thing happens, a 1 in 256 Mega Drain miss. And it wouldn't have mattered. We won anyway. Gen 1 be Gen 1. This has probably been the most Gen 1 exhibition run I've ever seen. But unfortunately, one other important aspect of the first generation is how tough Brock can be. And at 538, at level 63, Raichu does not stack up well to other fully evolved Pokemon. I know some of you would like to see what this would look like if Brock were removed, and while that is interesting to a degree, Brock is part of the game. And it's annoying how much of a barrier Brock is. It's just the way it is, and the tier list is how bad are these Pokemon. If you have a really, really bad matchup, in a fighting game and it's a matchup you always have to endure, you're never going to win a major. And Raichu isn't winning the major here. Among fully evolved Pokemon, it is in the second lowest tier, Onix being by itself in the lowest tier, which is kind of funny, in 44th place. But among all Pokemon, Raichu is actually in 50th place, meaning there are 6 not fully evolved Pokemon that had an easier time with the game than Raichu did. Yikes, it feels almost wrong because it breezed through after Brock, but Brock was just such a long time. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Another solo run will be out later this month, so hope you enjoy that too. And some other cool, different types of videos that I'm planning on. So hope you guys enjoy all that. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. And once again, big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this episode. If you want to check them out, click the link in the description.